Hi guys, welcome back for another fight card prediction. It's Will here. We're going to be breaking down UFC Fight Night 94 from the State Farm Arena in Hidalgo, Texas, as Dustin the Diamond Poirier faces off against Michael the Menace Johnson in your main event. And a pretty nice looking fight night card here from Texas. As always, I want to thank you for your likes, your comments, your subscriptions from the last video. Hello to the new subscribers. I hope you interact with the people who are in the comment section below. Tell me your picks and give me your perspectives on the fight. And again, thank you so much for coming and subscribing to my channel. Really do appreciate it. Also, want to get out there all the guys who I like to follow, who I think you should go check out and show their support for them as well. Dan Levy and Half the Battle, phenomenal stuff. Flying Brian makes great videos, MMA prediction videos. Rockstar Z gives you his quick picks every week and his betting guide. MMA Kelton's a new guy on here that you have to go and find his predictions out as well. MMA Profit's another guy out there who is a new guy on this that you should go and watch his videos as well. There is Bookie Beatdown, some of the guys with the DraftKings picks, great stuff there. They talk about the picks, Cody and Paul. Severe MMA, the best podcast over here in Europe, in my opinion. Go follow those guys. A lot of support there for Cage Warriors, for Bama, for the UFC and over this past weekend. The UFC betting charts on Facebook, a group that I'm in, really good group of guys. Let's keep it going. And there's plenty of other people that I could shout out as well. James Lynch, I caught a few of his interviews for the participants on here. Great stuff. Go show your support for those guys and yeah, just show your support. It's getting into the end of the year, so I'm looking into doing a UFC Fantasy Pick'em League for 2017, where I'm going to put a prize up for grabs. Let me know what prize you think it should be. Should it be DVD? Should it be a t-shirt? Should it be a UFC signed glove? Just a money prize that I could give to somebody. Tell your friends and let's get as many people into this and make it as competitive as possibly can. And yeah, let's just get into these picks here. You can follow me at WillMartin7MMA. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your picks for this fight and why you and just I want to see your perspective on these fights. So starting off, UFC Fight Pass fights. We're starting off with Chaz Skelley against Maximo Blanco. Now Chaz Skelley's coming off a fight where he got grinded out by the ultimate grinder, who is Darren Elkins, by a mile. He's probably the biggest grinder in the UFC. Chaz Skelley does that well, but Darren Elkins has got that down to a fine art here. So a little bit unlucky in that fight there. He just as I say, he got outgrinded against a guy who is a higher level than him, and this will kind of help him move on to perhaps getting further up his division. He showed a lot of kind of skills of getting his back off the cage, but Elkins just kept turning and spinning him around and put him down there and eventually taking him down and just kind of wearing him out. Maximo Blanco is just a guy, I've got no read on this guy really at all, because he's so unorthodox and so unpredictable, and you don't know what's going to come from him, and he's just so unorthodox. He's crazy. He's got a wrestling background, pretty decent at that as well, coming off a loss to Luke Sanders, who looked phenomenal in his UFC debut at 145, and got submitted in the second round there. I'm going to pick Chaz Skelley. As I say, I think that grinding style is going to come to the fore here. He's been working down at the Black Zillions in Florida there. His striking, I think, will improve with Henry Hoof down there. Neil Melanson's only going to help with his wrestling. So I like that. I actually like that move for Chaz Skelley, going down there to the Black Zillions. I think a really good team down there, a lot of good trainers, and I think it'll improve his striking, which he needs to do, because his grappling is really good, and he can win the fights based on his grappling. But I think that fight showed him that he has to have a little bit more diverse tactics to him to win some fights against the higher echelon guys in that division. I'm going to pick Chaz Skelley. I think he's going to capitalise on Blanco's kind of crazy style and take him down there, and just kind of do that kind of repeatedly. But Blanco's a guy you should never really count out. But my pick will be Chaz Skelley via unanimous decision. The Fight Pass prelim, the featured Fight Pass prelim fight, we have Erick Montano against Randy Brown. I like Randy Brown in this one, big time. I don't really rate Erick Montano in any way, form whatsoever. I just think he's an average kind of MMA fighter. Won the show, beating Enrique Marin in the final, who gave a good encounter himself against Sage Northcutt. But I like Randy Brown in this one. I thought his fight with I think the Michael Graves fight was a little bit too soon. If if I'm being honest with you. Michael Graves is a good guy, a really top fighter, who I think over the next few years could progress into a really top fighter. And got off well in that first round. I mean, he hit him with a few nice shots, got put his back up against the cage, and he managed to turn, land some nice knees to the body there, a couple kind of low, which looked quite low. And then once they kind of disengaged, he tried to throw a kick. Graves took him down, and he did all right off his back. He kind of kept Michael Graves at bay. He didn't land anything too much. Came out in the second round, and he was in the middle of the cage, and Graves just shot a takedown, a beautiful takedown. Took him down there, choked him out. Some really fun skills on his feet. He's pretty good up there. I think he's just going to be able to, as long as he doesn't get taken down in the middle of the cage, I think, or backed up on the cage and just kind of held there, Randy Brown can win this fight and he can knock out Erick Montano. I'm going to pick Randy Brown. I'm going to pick him via TKO in round number 2. Moving on to the Fox Sports 1 card, we start off with Antonio Carlos Jr. against Leonardo Augusto Leleco Guimaraes. Guimaraes in his first fight against Anthony Smith looked terrible, gassed out really bad. This is the fight. If Antonio Carlos Jr. cannot win this fight, then he has no right being in the UFC, because Leleco is wild. He's going to be there for takedowns. He's going to come in wild and he's going to take him down, and Carlos Jr. is going to use that brilliant jiu-jitsu that he has to put him to sleep. If he doesn't do it in the first round, he will do it in the second round, or he could easily bash Leleco up quite a bit in that one. I mean, one of the things that Anthony Smith used quite well was inside leg kicks. Carlos Jr. was a former heavyweight. He kicks big, he hits kind of hard, not much kind of technique behind it, but he kind of relies on that jiu-jitsu there, and he got taken out by Dan Kelly last time, but I like this fight for him big time. If you're playing DraftKings, I think it's the guy you need to look at. I know that Leleco is tough, and he may stick around, but I think he's just going to walk into a takedown, and Carlos Jr. is going to get a submission victory. So I'm going to go a round 1 submission for Antonio Carlos Jr. Jose Quinonez against Joey Gomez. Decent fight this. Jose Quinonez, we haven't seen him since last year, where he beat Leonardo Chimmy Morales. Before that, he lost to Perez in the Ultimate Fighter finale, which was a pretty close fight. But he got the victory via first round submission. Looked really improved with his work there at Alliance MMA. I think he's got another tough fight here, and I thought Morales was going to be a tough fight, but I think Gomez is going to be a tough fight. In his fight with Rob Font, his UFC debut back in Boston, I was impressed with Joey Gomez. Rob Font's a technical guy, a really decent striker, and gave it his best shot, but didn't really get too much off against him. And just a classier, kind of more technical striker than Rob Font really got the victory there over Joey Gomez. But I think this could turn into a little bit of a slugfest, and I think that's going to favour Joey Gomez in this one. So that's why I'm going to go Joey Gomez. I know that Quinonez he's got that Mexican pride. He'll want to come forward, and he won't back down on that. I think if he was to take it to the ground, he would have an advantage there, but maybe not as big an advantage as I maybe think. But I'm very confident in Joey Gomez. This might be another pick for my DraftKings team, thinking about it, depending on what the prices are, obviously, because they're not out yet. But I like Joey Gomez. I'm going to go round 1. I'm going to go round 2 TKO victory for Joey Gomez here. Welterweight division. Augusto Montano against Belal Muhammed. I was so impressed with Belal Muhammed in his last fight against Alan Jouban. I know I've watched his fights in the past, but he came in there short notice. He was fasting, I believe, due to his religion. And he gave a performance in that one. I was so impressed, and he could, if he had more time, if that went into another couple of rounds, or even another round, he was taking out Alan Jouban in that fight. And thoroughly impressed. Really technical striking. Managed to put Jouban up against the cage, and just really, he did lose the early kind of rounds. The kind of UFC jitters, I think, maybe got to him a little bit, but performance, I was thoroughly impressed with him there. And he could have taken out, he's got some really good striking skills. Beat Steve Carl beforehand, a veteran of the sport. Augusto Montano coming back here. I think he was off on a suspension for, I think it was that clean boot roll again. I think that was what Ning Guang Yu got pulled over for not too long ago. He lost his last time out to Carl Pendred down in Mexico. Before that, he beat Chris Heatherly. Big guy. He has the reach advantage here. He doesn't have the reach advantage here, or he does by an inch, I think it is. off the top of my head. I remember looking at the reach statistics earlier on. I know he's got like a 4 or 5 inch height advantage here. I like Muhammed. I think he's going to come into the pocket here, use his footwork, go at the body, go up top, and really put. I think he could put a beating down on Augusto Montano. I don't see Montano. His skills to me are just kind of average and very, very kind of mediocre. And Muhammed is just a guy. I think Muhammed could be one of these guys who could be around the UFC for a long time, and maybe in a couple of years' time he might surprise some people with his skills. I think the longer he's in the UFC, the longer he might really kind of flower and blossom in the UFC. My pick's going to be Belal Muhammad. We'll love to see a finish, but I think Muhammad will maybe win by decision. I'm going to go by decision, but he might be a guy I pick in my DraftKings team because I think he has a chance of a finish there. The preliminary fight, the number one fight for the Fox Sports 1, the Fox Sports 1 main event, pretty much. Gabriel Mowgli Benitez against Sam Sicilia. Both guys coming off heavy knockouts. Sam Sicilia getting knocked out by the Korean Superboy and Do-Ho Choi. Is that his chin going to go now after it's been... Because he never really got that check before, but the Korean Superboy can do that, and he's done that to good opponents, and he's going to do that to better future opponents obviously in the future. Gabriel Benitez coming off that loss to Andre Fili, get hit with a head kick and then got followed up with punches to be taken out against the cage there. I'm a little bit back and forward on this one. I think that Sicilia will be the betting favourite. I think on Tapology I saw that he was about 80% were picking him, and I'm not. I think this is a 55-45 for maybe Sicilia. It's either, if you're betting, it's kind of a dog or pass in my opinion. I think Sicilia, now he's been knocked out, he may deteriorate a little bit. I like the work that Benitez has been doing at AKA. I want to pick Gabriel Benitez. I'm going to pick Sam Sicilia. I think he might try and use his grappling. We haven't really seen that too much. He did it in Aaron Phillips fights back in the day in the UFC. I think he wants to do that here. I think if he gets into a slugging match, he might get clipped by something from Benitez. I'm going to pick Sam Sicilia. I'm not going to bet this fight. I'm not going to put him in any teams. Maybe in saying that, I might put him in some lower fee teams, but not confident. I'm going to pick Sam Sicilia. I'm going to pick him by decision. Moving on to the main card, we start off in the lightweight division with a pretty fun looking fight between Chris Wade against the returning Islam Makhachev. Makhachev coming off that loss to Adriano Martins, where he got knocked out silly. He was kind of controlling that fight, and then he got hit with a big shot, got taken out there. Sambo background, got really good grappling. We saw that in the Leo Kuntz fight. Now I know Leo Kuntz is not a UFC level fighter, and I don't think he ever really was, but he got his shot in there, and Makhachev got in there and finished him. Chris Wade, coming off that loss to Hustam Kabalov, he just got out grappled by Kabalov, and Kabalov can do that to a lot of people, and he's did that since, I should say, against Leandro Silva. He did it in Hamburg a few weeks back. Knocked down Kabalov with like a jumping crane kick, and nearly got the chance to follow it up, but Kabalov had his wits about and kind of grappled and managed to get the decision victory there. 50-50 fight in my opinion. I think the superior grappler is Makhachev. I really do. I think Chris Wade's best way to win this fight is maybe striking, which is something. It's progressing definitely. His grappling is definitely his strong point, but I think that Makhachev can out grapple him here. I've just got a funny feeling that Makhachev will manage to put him against the cage, take him down, and just kind of blanket him and win a decision victory here. A little bit kind of 50-50 fight in my opinion here. I won't be betting the fight whatsoever, but I'll be looking on as a very interested spectator. I'm going to pick Islam Makhachev via decision. That could be a split decision. That could be really close, but that's going to be my pick there. Next up we have Jucao Roan Carneiro against Kenny Robertson. Kenny Robertson coming off that loss to Killer B Ben Saunders last year in a very fun fight. It was a lot of fun scraps, a lot of fun antics on the ground. They were back and forth around there, a lot of transitions. Killer B is he's crazy down there, and Kenny Robertson really to his credit, stuck around down there and gave a spirited performance, but just lost the fight. Ducao got blasted out by Derek Brunson, who we'll see later on in this show here. Brunson can do that to a lot of people, and he has been doing that to a lot of people. And Carneiro hasn't the best of trends. He is getting up there in age. He's hitting 40 years old, I think, very, very soon. Or 39 years old. So he is... Kenny Robertson, I don't really think has the striking to really hurt Carneiro. I can see Carneiro getting a takedown in this one. This is another close fight in my opinion. I was going to originally pick Kenny Robertson, but I'm going to pick Ducao Carneiro. I think if these guys start going at it on the ground, I think Carneiro is definitely the more advanced fighter down there. So my pick's going to be Juan Carneiro via submission. I think he might actually catch him in a submission. Maybe late first round, maybe early second, but if it goes kind of after a round and a half, then it's very close. You've got to probably favour Kenny Robertson in that one. But my pick's going to be Ducao via submission, and I'm going to go early round number 2. Bantamweight division, we have Alejandro Perez against the debuting Albert Morales. I'm going to get this out right now. I think Albert Morales is I think he could stop Alejandro Perez here. I've never really been overly impressed with Alejandro Perez. He weathered the storm against Dean Entwistle last time out. We all know what Entwistle does. He goes for the legs. He tries to submit you with a leg lock or an ankle lock, whatever, a knee bar. But he weathered the storm, punched out Entwistle down there and got the TKO victory in Croatia this year. Albert Morales, the guy, I've seen him in the RFA. I actually seen his fight years ago in Bellator. I can't remember who it was against. I was going to go and watch it there, but it's kind of slipped my mind. I went and watched these different fights. Kurt Wamreich, I think, was one of his fights there, and he hit him with he just kind of came bowling in with some rights and left, put him against the cage and just knocked him out silly. Last time against Mario Israel in RFA, I think Dana White's looking for a fighter was there, and he got a beautiful victory in about 20 seconds there, with pretty much a similar coming up, being very aggressive and taking out his opponent down in there. On the ground, there's some jiu-jitsu videos of this guy throwing flying triangles in competition and catching them, and that was slick. That was from like 2013. There's some from 2014 that I've seen as well. Really fun fight, this guy. I mean, I watched his fight, his interview with James Lynch, showed you a lot of like his past. He was a bit of a bad boy kind of growing up. He was in jail. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this guy in the UFC, and I think, I'm not really overly impressed with Alejandro Perez. I know he beat Jorgensen, who was really declining at that time, but I like Albert Morales here, and I know he's coming in short notice. I'm going to pick Morales. I think he can stop him as well. I'm going to go a second round submission for Albert Morales. If not, I can see a decision victory for him as well. The pick's going to be Albert Morales. Lightweight division, we have Evan Dunham coming in here against Rick Glenn, who's debuting in the UFC. Abel Trujillo was supposed to fight in this one and pulled out due to injury. And they've got a really good replacement here in Rick Glenn, a guy who's had about 20 to 22 fights, 18-3-1 record. If you've watched Bellator in the past, you've seen he's got some really good wins on there. He's only lost in a long time. It's been to Lance Palmer from Team Alpha Male, who is a stud there. He's the 155 or the 145 champion. I think it's 145 in it's 145 in the World Series of Fights. I think he used to train at Rufus Sport. He was the victory lightweight champion. He beat Ramiro Hernandez last time out in a pretty fun scrap. That was back and forward. He won a split decision victory there. Really good win over Giorgio Karahanyan back in the past there. So this is a really good guy to come in here to face Evan Dunham. But I think Dunham he's kind of blossoming. He's kind of got his second wind of his career here. Wins over Ross Pearson, and last time against Joe Lozon. Rick Glenn is an all-around a solid fighter, but I think kind of mind-wise, I think Evan Dunham he's smart in there. He's very smart. He doesn't kind of overexert himself, and he knows what his strengths are, and he knows what his weaknesses are, and he makes sure he puts it into his wheelbarrow of being in his strengths, and he's did that the past few fights. I think he can do that one here. I think he can take Rick Glenn down. I wanted to pick Rick Glenn initially. I think I've seen a lot of people in Tapology. It's like 90% for Evan Dunham. I don't think it's that. I think it's 70, maybe 65-35 for Evan Dunham. If you're asking me, I think Rick Glenn can definitely surprise some people here. I'm just going to go with the savviness of Evan Dunham in this one. Times his takedowns very well, and he's pretty hard to get off you once you get down there. So I'm going to go Evan Dunham via decision. Co-main event of the night, we have Uriah Hall against Erick Brunson. These two guys went on it on Twitter. They're actually quite funny to watch. And I saw the lines here, and I think Erick Brunson's only like a minus 160 favourite. I thought that would have been a lot higher. So if that kind of stays there, our odds get released tonight. There is a few odds. That one hasn't been released there. I think I'm going to parlay Erick Brunson with Belal Muhammed and one of the guys from the main event, which I'll get in a second here. Uriah Hall, he's always a guy you have to be careful with because he's got some beautiful techniques with the striking, and we've seen it in the Gegard Mousasi fight. I thought he showed a little bit of improvement in that Mousasi fight off his back. I thought he did okay in that one. Robert Whittaker was just too fast and very brave. He was in and out with beautiful combinations, and he was a little bit too fast for Uriah Hall. Erick Brunson, on the other hand, here, I think he's just too strong and too powerful, and I think that he's gonna, if he can avoid the striking kind of aspects of Uriah Hall here, he's gonna take Uriah Hall down, and he's gonna keep him there, and I think he'll run out a pretty comprehensive decision victory here. I know he's been finishing fights, but I don't think he wants anything of Uriah Hall on the feet here. We know what Uriah Hall can do, and he knows that as well. I mean, he beat Ducau, Sam Alvey, Ed Herman, all by TKO victories. He beat Lawrence Larkin. That's a great win to have in your resume. He lost to Yoel Romero, and he was winning that fight against Yoel Romero. So I think that Erick Brunson's going to win this fight with his grappling. He's going to want to put him against the cage, just avoid the striking of Uriah Hall, and win this via unanimous decision. But you can never count out Uriah Hall, and he's probably going to be quite cheap, I reckon, in DraftKings, and there's always a chance of a knockout at any time with this guy. But my pick has got to be Erick Brunson via decision victory in that one there. Main event of the night, the Diamond, Dustin Poirier faces off against the Menace, Michael Johnson. This is a fun fight, a very fun fight. I'm a massive Dustin Poirier fan. I have been for a long, long time. But I think his moves to lightweight has been phenomenal, and his victory last time against Joseph Duffy, I mean, he's shown different facets of his game. He came up there after that loss to the notorious Conor McGregor, and he had a lot to prove, and he's come in here. He beat a tough guy in Carlos Diego Ferreira, knocked him out. Yancy Medeiros, we saw at the weekend there, going up to 170. He's a tough guy, took him out there with a body kick, followed out with punches, beat Joseph Green, and then he absolutely starched King Bobby Green at UFC 199 there. And since then he's become a father, so congratulations to him and Jolie, who are great people. I've met them a couple of times. So yeah, how do I see this fight going? Michael Johnson, I mean, he's really up and down. He could have won that fight against Beneil Dariush. I personally think Dariush won that. It was very close. A lot of people were saying that was a robbery. I don't think that was robbery one little bit. I think Dariush won rounds 2 and 3. It was close, definitely, but yeah, I think that he definitely won that fight. Oh, how do I see this one going? I mean, he lost to Nate Diaz last time. I'll put that out there as well. And once Diaz really recognised what was going on, and once he kind of hurt him the first time, he started pointing at him, and he got inside the head of Michael Johnson, and he went back to his corner, and Henry Hoof was saying, don't let him get inside your head, don't let him inside your head, and he was already deep in that psyche of Michael Johnson there. Michael Johnson he's a really technical striker, got some very fast hands, got some elite footwork. We've seen that in the Barbosa fight, a lot of speed to him as well. But Dustin Poirier is nasty. Like I was saying before, I will be picking Erick Brunson and Belal Muhammed, and I'll probably be parlaying him with Dustin Poirier. My pick will be Dustin Poirier, just for the reason I think he's nasty, and he's all around just a better fighter. He's got some speed to him. The power aspect, I think, is definitely on Dustin Poirier's. It's definitely Dustin Poirier's side in this one here. I think he hits harder. The speed will probably go to Michael Johnson, like it does in a lot of his fights, but Dustin Poirier is no slouch in the speed aspect either. Showed the grappling against Joseph Duffy, took some shots in that one, got his nose busted up a little bit. That was a great fight, by the way. I've watched that a couple of times in the last week. But my pick has to be Dustin Poirier in this one. I think his gas tank's really good. His cardio, he's smart. He is very aggressive. I think if he reins that in and picks his shots a little bit better, he will start taking guys out with clinical shots. He has been doing that, to be fair, with Medeiros and that. So maybe that's just for me, just what he needs to do is maybe pick his shots a little bit better. But who's saying that when he's took out 3 of his last 4 opponents? I think this is going to go into like round 3 and 4. I think that he will find a way to get the fight to the ground here. I think he's definitely got the jiu-jitsu edge over Michael Johnson. My pick's going to be Dustin the Diamond Poirier. I'm going to pick him via TKO. I think he's going to maybe get on the back of Michael Johnson and just kind of pound him out, maybe get a submission out of it. I'm going to go TKO victory there. I'll go round number 3 for the Diamond. So that's my picks for UFC Hidalgo down in Texas. I will be back. I'll probably make a video with this Thursday for UFC, I think it is in Brazil, isn't it? Yeah, it's in Brazil. As Cyborg faces off against the debuting Lena Landsberg. Down in Brazil, there's a lot of fighters I'm looking forward to seeing in that card. Luan Chagas, Scotland's own Stevie Ray, some decent fights with Ronaldo versus Felder. So yeah, come check it out once you go out there, once it comes on here. Please support the channel, subscribe, like if you can. And if you don't like, just tell me why you don't like below. It might be just the way my picks or the way I've talked about the fights on the card, but let me know why, because it's one of the things, it doesn't really bother me an awful lot, but come and tell me why. Is it something that I could change, that I could maybe improve on? Feedback is always great. Leave your picks below, like a lot of you have been doing. It's been fantastic conversating with y'all. Come follow me on Twitter, WillMartin7MMA, Severe MMA. Go check them out for the best podcast here in Europe, and there's loads of other people that you should go check out on YouTube. Please support, because I think we should all support each other. We shouldn't put each other down or say one picks are better than another. I think we should just all support each other, because we all love this sport. So see everybody later in the week for Cyborg versus Landsberg. Appreciate everybody once again for watching, and I'll see you all soon.